I remember when we just met, you used to say you can feel the love.
And I could.
Can you still feel it?
Not much, sir. Not so much, sir.
You said I can feel it moving.
I could put my hand on it.
It was so real, so
strong.
strong. But the thing is, it doesn't mean the love is not that strong anymore.
Yeah.
It just means that it changes,
Yeah.
it evolves.
Yes.
It evolves. So love evolves. At the initial stages, yes, the passion is hot.
Yeah.
You might feel like you can talk for hours on the phone. Nobody wants to hang up. But after a while, that wanes.
The love doesn't wear out. The dynamics of it just changes.
It changes.
You know, and that's what you're going to have to address, because when you're visiting each other, you're almost visiting each other perfectly. The makeups are on, everything is on, and then you're going to wake up to each other's bad breath the day following your marriage, for example. It's not a case of visiting. You now live here.
Where before you had plenty of time to stare into each other's face and just be there loving on each other.
Absolutely.
Now you have all these other responsibilities, and there's nothing wrong with those responsibilities. It's just that is the time you now need to make effort to keep the feeling of love alive.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the love itself is no longer there, but it's buried under laundry, under cooking,
work,
under taking care of the kids,
ministry.
all the ministry, all those things just keep piling on that love, and you feel like, where's the love? There's no love in this relationship. The love is there, but you then need to make effort to bring it back to the surface.
Yes.
So to say love should be effortless is a myth. It takes effort to keep that flame alive. Hello and welcome to Relationship Real Talk, where we talk all things relationship, always keeping it real. I'm Mary Enyolu.
And I'm Julius Enyolu.
And it's so good for you to stop by today on our channel. If you haven't yet subscribed, please do so you can be notified when new episodes drop. And do like and share as well, because we're going to be talking on some hot topics here today.
Yeah.
We're continuing the series on busting relationship myths. So if you missed the episode, do catch it. You will find it really, really interesting.
Yeah.
But today we're going to continue, and we're starting with the myth that a strong relationship means always doing things together.
Life could dictate that you don't do things together, depending on your life, your choices in life. By choices, I mean your career path, for example. That's a big part of it, you know. It's very possible that your work arrangement just doesn't accommodate or make it easy for you to do things together. But it's not so much in how many things you do to go together, but the quality of your togetherness.
Yes.
And descend the strengths of your relationship.
Absolutely agree, because you might not be physically together, you might not be physically doing something together, but you just know you're together. You just know you're cool, right? Your relationship is good. So yes, it's good to be able to do things together. That's important. It's quite important that you're able to do things together, but you don't always have to do everything together. You may have different interests, you know. So if I love Pilates, you don't like Pilates, what are you doing coming to do Pilates? You might want to just to spend time with me. There's nothing wrong with that, but you don't feel like you have to be doing everything together. I think it's even healthy to have your own space and be able to do your own thing, if you're that way inclined. In our relationship, we do a lot together. we've always done a lot together
since day one,
because we're both in the choir, we're both in the same church, and we ministry together. We do lots of things together, but that is not to say if you're not in that position where you do everything together, that your relationship is not strong. Absolutely, that is a myth. So don't put yourself under that pressure. I think that's a very quick one.
Yeah. The reason why it's important to actually address that one is people can begin to feel, is there something wrong with us? And we don't do that many things together. I'm sure there are a few things that you do together. You know, it's almost, I saw this thing on social media, a guy holding a small piece of cake. He was very happy. And then another guy holding a bigger cake, but with a missing part. And he was miserable. He was focusing on what he didn't have, as opposed to the guy that had small, but focusing on what they have. So appreciate what you do together and celebrate that, as opposed to, we don't do as much as the other couple do. So,
and that could be a problem, actually. Comparing your relationship with other people's relationship could be a problem, because again, talking about the fact that we're different matters. Some people are just that way inclined, that they want to be with each other all the time, but other people could be happy spending time apart. So if you're happy spending time apart, don't feel like it's wrong or you should be like somebody else where they're always spending their time together. So that definitely is a myth.
I've got another myth that is worth looking into. It's like love should be effortless. If we happen to work hard on our relationship, maybe we're not meant to be together.
No, that is so not true. You just meet someone, the love can be effortless.
The love can be...
It's palpable.
There is something that they give you in the hospital when they want to do operations.
Anesthetic.
Yeah, like that just numbs every pain and you're just in cloud nine whatever. But it wears out.
Yeah, I remember when we just met, you used to say you can feel the love.
And I could.
Can you still feel it?
Not much, sir. Not so much.
You said I can feel it moving.
I could put my hand on it.
It was so real, so strong. But the thing is, it doesn't mean the love is not that strong anymore. It just means that it changes, it evolves.
Yes.
It evolves. So love evolves. At the initial stages, yes, the passion is hot. Yeah. You might feel like you can talk for hours on the phone. Nobody wants to hang up. But after a while, that wanes. Does that mean the love itself is... Why are you laughing?
No, I was just looking back. I remember the day I was teaching you to drive. That's the wrong thing. If you're in a relationship and you can pay for your spouse, especially if it is your husband, wanting the wife to learn to drive. If you can pay for a driving instructor, please do. I remember you drove my car into the pole.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes,
I'll remind you.
Okay, remind me.
You asked me to stop, and I was trying to stop.
Oh, no, you didn't drive into anything.
No, but you kept saying stop.
But you didn't stop on time.
You should have said press the brake. You should have said press the brake. What do you mean stop? I'm learning to drive. How am I supposed to know what to do to stop? So you're saying stop, and I'm thinking, what do I do to stop? And you went, don't speak English. How can you talk to me like that?
I could see the shock on your face, like, what? It talks like that.
I thought you were perfect. What's up with the melt in your mouth? You're telling me, don't you speak English?
That was funny. The fact that you're meant to be together doesn't mean that you wouldn't work, because you wouldn't work on your relationship, because the love doesn't wear out. The dynamics of it just changes.
It changes.
And that's what you're going to have to address, because when you're visiting each other, you're almost visiting each other perfectly. The makeups are on, everything is on, and then you're going to wake up to each other's bad breath the day following your marriage, for example. You're going to see each other without the makeup. You're going to see each other without no pretense. And I'm not suggesting that you were pretending before, but you're going to see the real you.
Yeah.
You're going to be around. It's not a case of visiting. You now live here. So it's different. And yes, you keep working at it.
And like we said before, you have, with time, other factors come into play that changes the dynamics of things. Kids come in, for instance, maybe you change jobs, the different things that come in that changes the dynamics of the relationship, where before you had plenty of time to stare into each other's face and just be there loving on each other. Now you have all these other responsibilities, and there's nothing wrong with those responsibilities. It's just that is the time you now need to make effort to keep the feeling of love alive. It doesn't mean the love itself is no longer there, but it's buried under laundry, under cooking, under taking care of the kids,
ministry,
all those things just keep piling on that love, and you feel like, where's the love? There's no love in this relationship. The love is there, but you then need to make effort to bring it back to the surface. So to say love should be effortless is a myth. It takes effort to keep that flame alive. Have date nights, deliberately go for a walk. Even if you're not spending money, just go up, don't watch TV, go into your room, just the two of you, and just play a game or something. All of that takes intentionality.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's super important that you keep unearthing the love. Don't allow life's busyness to bury it. Don't allow yourselves to forget what it feels like to be in love. And so, work is required, my friend.
It is. Now, if you've got a question, please let us know. Put it in the comments. We would love to hear from you. As we're rounding up last session, we had a comment from someone in the studio, actually. Should we do that now?
Let's do it after.
We'll do it at the end. Okay, so the next myth that I want to talk about is sex should be spontaneous.
Well,
it shouldn't be planned. Remember, it's a myth.
Okay.
That's what people think. People think if you're having to plan when you're going to have sex, there's a problem. It should always be spontaneous.
Yeah. I don't know the extent of the planning, though.
Sex and intimacy, not just sex. Sex and intimacy should be spontaneous.
Life gets busy. I wouldn't say life gets in the way, but I'll say just like life gets busy. People have things to do, and therefore it wouldn't always be. There would always be spontaneous moments.
Absolutely.
But not so much as it was when you were just starting out, because you've grown into various aspects of your life. You have more responsibilities, and life just gets busy. So you just have to adapt your life. Don't kill your relationship because of the changes in life. You just adapt it, and you grow in spite of the various changes to your lives.
I mean, it's similar to the myth we're just addressing that says love should be effortless. And we're saying it's not always effortless. You have to make effort. It's the same with sex and intimacy. If you're waiting for spontaneity all the time, you may have to wait a long time because, like you say, life gets busy. This is the way I look at it. Is it important?
Of course.
You make time for what is important. You plan for what is important. So the fact that you're having to plan a date night, say, okay, next week is our date night. Next Wednesday, I want you to take me out. The fact that we're having to plan for it does not mean our relationship is in trouble. In fact, it just means that we care about our relationship. So, yes, they could surprise you and just say, okay, let's just go. Spontaneity is fantastic, depending on your personality style as well. Some people don't like spontaneity, but it could be fantastic. But there's absolutely nothing wrong with planning it and knowing in your mind that night you want to get it on, and from the morning start to kind of woo the person, start to build up to it, start to be more romantic. It's not pretense, it's just you're just being intentional about it, and there's nothing wrong with it.
The reason I was smiling was I saw this clip. This woman definitely has been waiting to be given flowers, but they wouldn't get it. So she bought herself flowers, and when he came in from work, hello, threw the flowers at him, threw him out of the door. So he had to go back in. So he was knocking like, what's going on? And then he came in with the flower. Oh, you got me flowers. So he was confused, like, you got yourself flowers. Well, that's an extreme example. But the point is, you can plan it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the point is, there's nothing wrong with it. So don't think there's something wrong if you're having to plan your romance or plan the intimacy. There's nothing wrong with it. The next one is marriage should be a 50-50 partnership.
Wow, that's a big one. And that's an easy one. If marriage is 50-50, then you got a problem. Marriage should be 100%.
Okay, I see where you're coming from, but I don't think that's where the myth is coming from. The myth is suggesting that both parties should always give equal.
That's what I mean. You have to give 100%.
But that 100% might not end up being 50-50.
So we're talking about certain aspects of the marriage. It could be finances, for example. Where I earn more, and therefore by default I bring more to the table. But what happens if the wife earns more?
That's the point. So that's why it's a myth.
Right.
It's a myth to think we have to bring equal amount of finance. We have to both do equal amount of housework. That's a myth.
Yeah.
But like you said, we should both give our 100%.
Yeah.
But our 100% might not end up being equivalent of what the other person is giving.
Yeah.
Because like one party could be earning more. So if you earn, for the sake of argument, £1,000 a month, and the other person earns 500, and so maybe they're able to contribute 300, and you say, well, if you're bringing 300, I'm going to bring 300.
Yeah.
So they're keeping 200 for their personal use. You're keeping 700. That's not right.
That's not fair.
So no, it's not 50-50. It's not. It's just both parties doing what it takes within their capability, within their resources, within what they have, to make sure the relationship is working.
Yeah. You know, the Bible was talking about Adam and Eve, that they were both naked and they were unashamed. You know, bring your 100% to the table, whatever that equals to. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, bring your 100% to the table, whatever that equals to, in terms of whatever. You know, because it could be that the wife is not even working at all.
Exactly. And the reason why this is important, again, is about expectations. If you go into the relationship expecting that the other person should act in a certain way because it should be 50-50, then it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
You're going to feel like you're being taken advantage of. You're going to feel like the other person is not pulling their weight, in a sense, but it's not 50-50.
Wow. Yeah. You know, I've seen situations where the husband is asking the wife, what do you bring to the table? Because she's not earning. You know, and he's like, what do I bring to the table? I gave you child number 1, child number 2, child number 3. What do you mean what I bring to the table? Or it could be in the case of, she's not working, she stays at home. I've been at work all day. What have you been doing? What have you been doing?
People run to work. People go to work as a means of escape, because taking care of kids 24/7 is not easy.
Even if they're not taking care of the house, you know.
Well, I think that'll be a topic for another day.
Yeah,
that'll be a topic for another day.
Right. The questions there.
Okay, so the question I was raised in the studio, number one,
it was because we were talking about the myth that says if sex.
Oh yes, that's it. Sex will make us stronger and our bond.
And then I explained that what if it's not possible for whatever reason to have sex as much as you would?
Yeah.
You know.
And the question was, shouldn't the party, assuming it's not a situation where they can't because of an accident or medical issue, shouldn't the other party make the effort to work on that? Because that can be a problem to the relationship. Even though sex is not what's going to make your love stronger and your bond tighter. Yeah. Isn't that a problem if one party is not wanting to have sex?
So the response to that would be, you know, just talk about it as you would any other concerns that you have. You know, I wish we had, you know, more time having sex, or I wish we had it more often than we do. You know, and then try and basically communicate that to the other person. Be prepared to listen to each other and work on yourselves if you need to get help, if you need to, you know, but don't ignore it, otherwise it's going to become
So beyond talking about it and expressing your desire, I think both parties, probably especially the one who feels like the other party is not being as intimate or as physically intimate as they would like, to find out what they want. You know, because
to find out what
the other party wants.
Okay.
So say, for instance, the man, because it's usually the man that is saying the woman is not wanting to have sex as frequently as he would like, he should try and find out what she wants, what pushes her buttons. Because very often men will say things like, you're not satisfying me sexually, you're not satisfying me sexually, and they don't realize the woman has needs as well. So what are her needs? Are you meeting her needs? If you're not meeting her needs and you just think it's all about you, that's selfish.
Absolutely.
So sex for men, again, I don't like to generalize, but for most men is very physical, but for the woman, she needs a little bit more emotional attachment. So what are you doing to stir up those emotions within her to prepare her for the act? Don't just wait to get into the room and say, okay, come on, let's get it on. Going all day, it's almost like you've ignored her or you've been busy. She doesn't just switch it on like that. That's what I mean. So find out what fills her bucket. Because the more you do that, the more she's going to be probably, again, I don't want to generalize, but probably the more she's going to be emotionally invested in the intimacy.
Yeah. So the point I wanted to make is just talk openly about it. What can we do to improve our sex life?
And then she will tell you what she wants, and he will say what he wants.
So just don't put sex on this pedestal that you don't want to talk about it, because cultural background could lead to that.
That's true.
You don't want to talk about it. It's something that you do not talk about.
Something you hide.
Yeah, you talk about it. So what could we do? Just make sure that you don't get help from the internet. Don't watch porn, for example, to jazz up your sex life and stuff like that. But talk about it.
Absolutely. And pray about it. I mean, obviously, we're believers and we always come from that place. I'm sure you've realized that by now. The Bible is very important to us. And so God is at the center of our relationship. And the Bible says, pray about all things.
Yes. Yeah.
So again, sex is something that people might not think, well, why should we be praying about sex? God gave it to us, and he gave it to us not just for procreation, but to enjoy.
Absolutely.
So if you feel like, I'm no longer just feeling it, pray about it. Let God, sometimes it's hormonal changes, when you're going through menopause as a woman, but God can replace those hormones. So pray about it. Pray about everything in the relationship.
And like I said before, if you need to get help, go get help.
Yeah.
Go get help. The other question was about the place of prophecy in.
Yeah, so when we're talking about the myth of if it's meant to be, it will work out. The question was, what if you got a word of prophecy that somebody was going to be your spouse, but then when you start to get to know the person, you're not really feeling like you want to be with that person.
And the response to that would be this was something that I read long ago that stayed with me, and from my own experience I know that person was right. If you go into a relationship because of what somebody else said, what a prophecy from another person, you're probably going to hate that person. I've got a good example actually. Adam was happy, him and God were pals, and then he introduced Eve. He introduced Eve, then there was a problem, and Adam, what have you done? The woman you gave me.
Exactly. This is God.
This is God.
So what was a prophet?
I was fine. You are the one that gave me the woman.
Yeah.
There you go.
So don't allow a prophet put you in that sort of bondage, as it were. I feel like prophetic words should be liberating. They shouldn't put you in bondage. So if you're feeling like this word has now become a shackle around you where you can't get free of it. The only reason I'm here is because of this word of prophecy. Check that word of prophecy, because prophets can get it wrong. They can get it wrong. So you're the main prophet over your life, and if someone is giving you a prophetic word to say this person is going to be your life partner, there should be a witness in your spirit.
It's super important.
You definitely don't want to be marrying somebody just on the basis of somebody else's prophetic word.
It's super important that you get a witness in your spirit. The Bible says, as many as are led by the Spirit of God are the children or the sons of God. So if you have no peace, at least some kind of peace, calmness about it, you can't just go on somebody else's word. Because the relationship will be tested. It will be tested. And when it's tested, you need to have something stronger to stand on than somebody said as you married them. It was a prophecy.
Yeah.
You can't be deeper than that.
Well, we have come to the end of yet another episode. We trust that you have been empowered, you have been uplifted, you've been encouraged. Do like, share, help us spread the word. It will really, really help us a lot. Subscribe so you can know when new episodes get released. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Relationship Real Talk, where we talk all things relationship. Always keeping it real.
Thanks for joining us.